Economic growth, human capacity development, and democratic governance has been identified as some of the solutions to the increased rate of terrorism and organized crime in the African continent. These were the positions of speakers at the opening ceremony of the 41st Conference of African Parliamentary Union with the theme, "The Role of Parliament in the Fight Against Terrorism, Armed Gangs and Organized Crimes in Africa." Declaring the program open at the ECOWAS Secretariat Abuja, President Muhammadu Buhari said a conscious and affirmative resolve needs to be made by parliaments and governments across Africa to champion the cause of the continent and its people.
I am delighted that the 41st Conference of the Speakers, as part of its meeting, will be considering the role of parliaments in the fight against terrorism, armed gangs, and organized crimes in Africa. Terrorism, armed banditry, and organized crimes have continued to be a security challenge for member states of the African Union. The proliferation of arms, aided by abuse of the ease of movement of persons across freer borders, which have been historically in place to encourage African unity, have contributed to acts of terrorism by groups like Al-Shabaab, ISIS, and Boko Haram. Here in Nigeria, we have done a lot to reverse the terror trend and halt the advancement of Boko Haram. We have, in collaboration with our neighbors, strengthened our armed forces to effectively confront terror groups and have also initiated programs to address widespread poverty, which has been identified as a significant factor fueling unrest and boosting terror recruitment.
On his part, President of the Nigerian Senate, Abubakar Bukola Saraki, who doubles as the President of the African Parliamentary Union, says the legislative arm of government across African countries must work together with the executive arms to make laws that will tackle the increase of violent crimes across the region.
This kind of gathering is important as it gives hope about the future of our continent. It is in gatherings such as this that we come together to map out a common thread in issues affecting our countries, come up with ideas for resolving those issues, and chart a greater future for Africa. Seeing you all here today, eminent parliamentarians from all over Africa, I'm even more convinced of the need for fora such as the African Parliamentary Union Conference. Without doubt, we as legislators need to do a lot more to share ideas and work together to devise new and effective strategies for addressing the many challenges confronting our continent. Distinguished delegates, it is sobering to note that the economies of many countries on the continent are not growing at above the ballpark rate of 3% GDP. And yet populations are growing exponentially, and we have a huge youth demographic looking to government to secure their future. We as legislators must play our own role in stimulating growth and development in order to properly respond to the circumstances and meet the expectations of our people. In most of our different countries, the cardinals and objectives of the executive arm of government in the areas of fighting corruption, good governance, fight against terrorism are all based on a great amount of support from the legislative arm of government. We have a key role here to support the executive arm of government with strong legislation that will ensure that their programs are successful. And as such, it is important, particularly in the area of terrorism, that we work hand in hand with the executive to ensure that we have laws that will support their program.
The program will also address as a sub-theme the promotion of private investment as a major factor in economic development across Africa. From Abuja, I'm Festus Ejirogenefifen for Ben Television.
presidential candidate of Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, Tope Fashua, with some of his supporters hit the streets of Abuja calling for increment in budget proposal for the Nigerian economy. Tope Fashua highly condemned the low budget proposal for the country, saying current budget proposal does not cater for the Nigerian masses. Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party presidential candidate submitted a petition on the alleged poor budget proposal to Federal Ministry of Budget and National Planning and Federal Ministry of Finance.
Because they have finished spending the money, and we can see some of the governors how they talk so many dollars in their pocket. Governor Ganduje, that's the only one we caught, that they caught. What about other ones that we have not seen what they are collecting from the people of this country? So there's money to do our budget, there's money to do a reasonable budget for the people of this country. We have enough. We cannot be so-called giant of Africa for nothing. South Africa is doing 155 billion, times 6 our budget, times 6. Those are people who understand that their people are human beings. But the leaders of Nigeria believe that their people are not human beings. We believe our people are not human beings, they don't deserve a good life. That's why we are here on a peaceful protest. A peaceful, very well-organized protest. We are not troublemakers. We don't fight anybody, but we are here on the matter of principle. We are here on the matter of order.
He also called on government to review the tax system in order to boost the internal revenue generation.
There's enough liquidity in this country for us to finance our budget. And how countries do it all over the world, is that they ensure that they link up their company house to their inland revenue and to the banks. In any country in the world, you cannot run a company account for 1 year without paying your taxes. But they have refused to do that. If they do that, they can triple our tax revenue on a given day. They can't do that. They have refused to review our PIB, our petroleum industry bill, some of them since 1973, 1993. Some of them since 1990. They refuse to review those laws. And that's the reason why Angola is doing double our budget. Nigerians should please do themselves a favor. Don't you ever believe that we cannot do this. I've seen a lot of sense of, Nigerians, they give up so easily. And we kind of think about ourselves, we don't even believe we deserve something good. People say, where are we going to find the money? The money is there. Where did Angola find the money? Where did South Africa find the money? That is what we should be saying first. If those people can do it, they are human beings like us, and we say our economy is much bigger than theirs. We should go and look, the people who lead this country should go and look for the money wherever it is.
Tope Fashua is canvassing for 15 trillion naira annual budget proposal for the country. From Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdeli reporting. The chairman of Senate Committee on Land Transport, Senator Gbenga Ashafa, has commended President Muhammadu Buhari administration commitment on revitalization of rail lines across the country. Senator Ashafa made this remark during an oversight visit by the Senate Committee on Land Transport to Itakpe Warri Rail Line after 35 years of initiation and abandonment, which is currently undergoing a test run. The chairman of Senate Committee on Land Transport said the failure of the past administration to deliver on the project for lack of commitment called for a probe. He assured Nigerians of the commitment of the committee to ensure that the Senate work collaboratively with executive to ensure that the service deliveries to Nigerians as a functional railway system that cut across the length and breadth of the country.
My excitement is born out of none other than the fact that after many years of lack of commitment by successive administrations and failure by past administrations to revive this all-important rail route, the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has finally been able to do the needful. In order to introduce other perspective to the enormity of this achievement, this project commenced about 35 years ago It was conceived to serve principally as an economic rail route to aid the movement of petroleum products from the south to the north on one hand, as well as to aid the transportation of steel from the Ajaokuta Steel Company to other parts of the country. 3 years of this administration, we have been able to work together, that is the executive and this committee, to deliver to Nigerians the Port Harcourt to Owerri line, the Abuja to Kaduna Standard Gauge line, a substantial rehabilitation of the entire narrow gauge rail infrastructure, which now includes the Ajaokuta Itakpe Warri line. We also have in the works for delivery very soon the Lagos to Ibadan Standard Gauge line.
He therefore urged the contractor to continue to maintain high standard of operation and to deliver on all outstanding projects, particularly the Lagos to Ibadan Standard Gauge Railway timely.
While we will now beam our light on the challenges of the pioneer contractor of the SY, Julius Berger, to deliver on the completion of the project despite the annual budgetary allocation during the period that they started. We urge the contractors, Mrs. CCCC, to continue to maintain a very, very high standard of operation, which we have seen, and to deliver on all outstanding projects, particularly after this, the Lagos to Ibadan Standard Gauge Railway tremendously.
At the end of the inspection by the committee, which took them through Sector 7 in Agbo, Sector 8 in Abraka, and Warri Terminal Point in Delta State, Senator Ashafa commended and acknowledged the effort of the Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amaechi, and all those who have played a role in ensuring that Ajaokuta Itakpe Warri Rail Line becomes operational. The key stakeholders who were present at the oversight function include members of the committees, Senator Sina Shuku Idiazu, Senator Olanrewaju Tejosho, Yaya Gamal Lawal, and representative of Minister of Transportation, as well as representative of contractor.
Distinguished.
The floor of Nigerian Senate witnessed another rowdy session over the disbursement of the federal government Social Intervention Fund. The trouble started when Senate Minority Leader Biodun Olujimi moved in a motion drawing the attention of the Senate to the alleged wrongful payment of Social Intervention Fund as introduced by the Buhari-led government.
Mr. President, right now the funds are being used for political reasons, and they are being dispensed and given freely to people who can bring up their PVCs and sign several forms for which the issuers are now in charge. Mr. President, one of the forms is here with me, and it is being disbursed by the Special Intervention Body. They are now using the funds that is meant for all Nigerians for political reasons. These ones have "I stand with Buhari" on it. And it also has a place where your PVC will be written with your gender and an attachment from the Access Bank where money will be dispensed to you. Mr. President, there is no corruption greater than people using our collective purse to maintain a political party. Mr. President, there is a need for a committee to be set up to look into this issue, and the Senate must be aware that the money that is being put there is not for a political party, but for the entire nation. There has to be a high-powered ad hoc committee, bipartisan, that must look into this. Yes. It is an election year, and people are using these funds for reasons that are not the best, to buy PVCs and put them to use on election day.
The plenary then turned rowdy when the Senate Majority Leader Ahmed Lawal saw the permission to speak and to dismiss the allegation. Senator Dino Melai Basi Apan therefore cited section of the Senate rule to back their stand on not to allow Lawan comment on Olujimi motion before it has been seconded by another lawmaker.
43 of the rules of the Senate. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President, a senator may make personal explanation. Mr. President, this Senate is governed by rules. There is a subsisting motion on the ground, and by our rules, that motion needs to be seconded first before you can take contributions. The leader, Mr. President, the motion, there is a motion on ground, and that motion needs to be seconded before a debate.
The question on any motion or amendment shall not be proposed from the chair in the Senate unless it shall have been seconded. But in committee, a seconder shall not be required. 52, sir. 52, sir. Excuse me, sir. 55, 55-2. 55-2, Mr. President. 55-2, Mr. President. During the debate on all motions and bills, the President of the Senate shall allow speeches for the proposal first, followed by speeches against the proposal, Mr. President. Yes. Mr. President, the minority that came under Order 42 and Order 52 and brought forward a motion. That motion needs to be seconded first, then the chair will take speeches for the motion before attending to speeches against the motion. I sorry, sir.
But after long hot argument between the APC and PDP lawmakers, the Senate leader eventually had the floor following the intervention of the Senate President.
Let's just go to the substance. We could easily have made progress by now. Leader will have finished speaking. And leader will have finished speaking and have asked somebody to second the motion and will have finished and concluded. But listen, because many are times from here we have done it in that manner. With all due respect, let us make progress. Distinguished colleagues, let us make progress with this. We have many things to do. Leader has almost concluded. After that, somebody will second the motion, and then we put it to one and we move on. Why are we wasting time on issues that we can have time today? Leader, complete what you are doing, and then I'll ask somebody to second the motion. Then we'll make progress.
The intervention program of this administration is computer-based, very transparent. For the first time,
After deliberation on the rather controversial motion, the Senate resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the allegation contained in it. The Senate also, after additional prayer by Senator Barau Jibrin of Kano North, resolved also to probe the Shopee program during Goodluck Jonathan administration. From National Assembly Complex, Abuja, Muyiwa Bamdele reporting. The Senate has condemned in strong terms the statement credited to the Nigerian police saying the failed assassination attempt on Deputy Senate President Ike Kremadu was burglary attempt. The lawmaker in reaction during the plenary asked the police to withdraw the statement and carry out thorough investigation into the failed assassination attempt. The resolution followed a point of order raised by Senators Eyinaye Abaribe, where lawmakers criticized the hasty conclusion on the event while investigation is still ongoing.
That could have led to a fatality and say, oh, it's just a burglary. And what was their proof? That somebody else was boggled around the same. And nobody knows how they could have come to such a conclusion. So I would like the Senate not to just dismiss this matter, but ask for a thorough investigation to be carried. Because I know that in this country, if we want to do an investigation, we do it. I know that in this country, a general that was killed, they investigated until they found his body and they found where he was buried and they found, that means that if we insist on doing the right thing, we would do it. So our fear today is, why is the police engaging in a cover-up? Why is the police continually, at any time that it concerns people that do not have presidential oversight or presidential cover, they quickly come out and they have a report, very, very ready. We must go beyond this mere surface dressing and look into this matter.
So how can we come to a conclusion that is mere burglary? Mr. President, nobody boggles into any place without an internal compromise. And looking at the house and the residence of a person of the nature of the Senate President, where security is very tight, for anybody to just go for mere burglary, you must be a suicide. Well, I don't even know if that is. You must be a suicide burglar, because you know that that place, for you to go into burgle, if it's mere to burgle, then you must be taking your life at very high risk. So I don't want to say, and neither are we concluding that it's assassination or not. But what we're asking the police is that take pains to conduct proper investigation, professional investigation, so that when you come out with your report, then people will agree with you. But when you come out and dismiss it, or it's mere burglary, and for the fact that they burgle other houses, Mr. President, I think this is completely unacceptable. And I think we have to ask the police to be a little more professional in their action and ways of doing things. So I want to state that it is important that we insist that the police should do thorough investigation, not only for this, for other cases that affect Nigerians, not only those in authority or at a higher level, but proper investigation should be done so that we can avert future occurrence.
So to come out and address burglary as mere, and not to know that burglary can lead to assassination, automatically puts it that the Nigerian police have identified some individuals that no matter what happens, we will not get their service.
We should take this very seriously, not because it happens to one of us here, but what is on the ground is that the life of every Nigerian is at stake. We can have a killer burglar, and that was what happened in the house of DSP Ike Koremadu. If we continue on this phase, not taking it seriously, until one of us is killed, then we come here and lay flowers and do 1 minute silence, send a delegation to his village. I don't think that is in the best interest of this country. Mr. President, this parliament must come with a very strong resolution, a message that should be sent to the security agencies of this country. The need for us and the need for them to stand up to their responsibility and address the issue of insecurity in this country.
The police, in a statement issued, said the Ekremadu and his family were victims of burglary attempt and not assassination as claimed.